I'm about to make you an incredibly ambitious promise. And that promise is that if you are willing to give me the next 10 to 15 minutes of your time, your valuable, precious time, this may be quite easily the most important video you might ever see on the entirety of YouTube. You won't regret it, I promise you. Here goes nothing. I wanted to ask you a quick question. And that is the question of looking back in your past, right? Looking back on a moment of your childhood or your young adult life, or maybe your 30s, wherever you are in this life, looking back on a period of time in your life, right? Try to picture a moment where things were pretty bad. Like think of a moment in your life or a span of time, whether that was university or your first job, whatever it is, right? Think back to that moment in time and ask yourself, even though it was pretty bad, right? Is it as bad now, looking back on that difficult period of time? And if you're like me and if you're like most people, you'll be pretty quick to admit the fact that even though things were hard at the time, sure, and it may not have been the most pleasant time of your life, definitely wouldn't rank top 5 moments of your highlight reel, obviously, right? But if you had to be honest, looking back on those moments, firstly, you might realize that those moments weren't as bad as they seemed at the time. But secondly, looking back, you could probably remember some really good moments too. You could probably remember a few times where you were happy, and in a weird kind of messed up way, you probably might wish that you could go back to that moment and experience it a little bit differently. Now that you know that you've gotten through it, now that you know there was light at the end of the tunnel, that the grass was greener on the other side, and that you survived. And if I had to, in this imaginary kind of world, take you right now, throw you in a time machine and put you right back in that moment, I'm willing to bet my left anything, leave that up to the imagination, I'd be willing to bet anything that you would go back there and you'd treat the situation differently. You'd probably treat it with a lot more humor. You'd probably be a lot more relaxed about it. You'd see things and you'd take a moment to smell the roses of the situation and appreciate the good moments, even if things weren't so great. You'd handle it with a lot more grace, but a lot more grit at the same time. And you might be thinking to yourself now, well, okay, cool, Niall, you make a point, I guess so, but what's the deal? Why is this so important? I think that this lesson, if applied to everyday life, and if you could somehow remember this simple fact that going back to a past that was difficult at the stage you are now with what you know and what you've learned would make that situation easier, you could make every situation of your life right now that much easier, because you'd know that there would be a future time when you'd be through this thing, when you'd be on the other side, and you would be looking back, wondering to yourself or hoping or wishing that you could go back and maybe take a little bit more beauty out of that situation instead of be totally enveloped and just totally absorbed by the drama of that moment, right? And if you really think about it, as profound and crazy as it sounds, this may very well be the secret to a happy life. Coming back to my story from today, I visited I would say my old university, but the sad truth is it's still my university. I'm busy completing a very long overdue master's. But I visited my campus today, and all my friends that originally were with me at the start are all gone. They've graduated, they are overseas or working jobs. They're all doing something different with their lives. And, going back, I thought I'd be sad, and I thought I'll be walking around and it'll be miserable. I'll be thinking about the past. But I actually ended up having the most beautiful day today, right? I ended up hanging out with some friends from my work, my part-time job, and they're amazing people. They really are so wonderful, and I got to spend the day with some of these people. And I enjoyed it thoroughly. And the reason I enjoyed it was obviously partly because these people are amazing, and it was nice to catch up and get to know them a little bit more on a personal level and not just at work, right? So that was fun. The reason I enjoyed it so much was because today I got to feel as though I was an observer of the situation that I'd been in so many years ago. Because me, 3 to 4 years ago, when I was in that situation, as my friends are right now, right? They've just started their university career, or they're in the middle of it, or they're trying to finish it. And you can see that they are exactly in the same position I was in, stressing about exams, worried that they're not going to make the cut, worried about their future, right? All these very valid concerns and stresses that you may too have felt while at university or while at high school or while starting your first job, right? And I was there too. But today I had the most beautiful experience of being past that situation. Somewhat, obviously, because I'm still completing my degree, as I mentioned. But I was able to transcend it today. I sat there with these people as though they were my old friend group. And I was able to watch the dialogue and enjoy the chaos and enjoy the worry and the discussion of what they're going to do and what about this assignment and what are they going to do in the next month. And it felt so good sitting there knowing for them, right? Because they were in the thick of it, but I'm the observer. I'm behind that situation. It was beautiful for me to observe them and realize for them that they're going to be okay. That they are going to look back at these moments and they're going to wish that they could come back to this very day and enjoy it more. Because the truth is, for them, it was just another day. Another day at campus, seeing their friends, having lunch, big deal. But for me, it was so enjoyable and so beautiful and profound because I realized, and I wanted to tell them, but I didn't want to sound like an old dude, right? I didn't want to sound like that guy. Guys, you should enjoy this moment while it lasts. I sound like a guy on deathbed. And this kind of relates to that whole idea of like regret, right? Because if I'm being honest with you, I looked at them today and I regretted that I wasn't more present 4 years ago, 3 years ago, while I was still in my degree. I regretted not being there, even though at the time, yes, I was stressed about exams and I was stressed about failing and about my future. And the sad thing is I'm still stressed about my future. Nothing changed, right? I'm still figuring it out. But now, being back in that moment, realizing that years have gone by and I've survived. I've been through good times, I've been through bad. But it's not about that. That's the key takeaway here. And I might not be explaining this message as clearly as I want to. I feel like I've literally just, the curtains have opened for me. And I just wish I could feel this feeling so much more often. And hopefully you are understanding the message I'm trying to share today. But being away from the situation, standing at a bird's eye view, looking back at those moments that they were having today, I realized that if I had any regrets in my life, and if I have anything I regret, is the fact that I couldn't go back to more moments in my life when I was stressed, when I was anxious, when I didn't know what was going on, when things were just going crazy. I wish I could go back to those moments and enjoy them just a little bit more, because that's what it's about. It's a journey, right? It's the cliche and it's true. It wasn't about the end destination. It was about being there on that average Tuesday afternoon, or today was a Friday. So the average Friday afternoon, having lunch with my university friends, discussing life at that level. Like, I feel quite emotional talking about this. I know it sounds weird, but I do. I feel like this profound understanding of like, that's it. That's life. It's reminding yourself over and over again to step back from the chaos, to step back from the drama, to step back from being involved in life. And the best analogy I could use for this, right, is the analogy of a video game. Think about you playing a video game. Let's say it's Grand Theft Auto or The Witcher, whatever you're into, right? It could be a war game. Let's say you're playing a war game, right? And you're there shooting other people. Yeah, you're like fighting and things are intense. You may be feeling the intensity of playing that game through this character that you're playing, this soldier. But the truth is, you know deep down that you aren't this soldier. That this is just a game. It's a situation. And even though, yes, you may be like enveloped in the game, you could lose track of time because you've gotten so into the process of what's going on. You just love this experience. But that's the thing. If you really think about it, this soldier is like killing people. He's like fighting. He's stressing. He's bleeding. But you're having the best time of your life. And why is that? Because you know it's a game. Because you can stand back, just like the video game player stands back from the character he's playing. And you realize that it's just a character and it's just a game. And you wouldn't sit there stressing out about like, oh, what if my character dies? What if he loses his girlfriend in the game? What if he doesn't make it? You don't worry about that. Because you know that you're safe. You know that the physical is not where it's at. And again, I don't want to get too spiritual with this. I don't want to go like all Buddhism on your ass here. But maybe they're onto something. Because it's exactly the same concept. You enjoy the chaos. You enjoy the stresses and the fantasies and the drama of life. But you enjoy it because you realize it's not you, and you realize that you'll move past that. But if you are insistent of believing that you are the character in this video game, that you are the soldier, and it's do or die, because that's how we all live our lives, from day to day, in do mode, in attack mode, right now. We live as though we're about to die every minute, and that things could go wrong. But at the end of the day, you're not the character, you are the player. And you only, in the sad reality of life, and I'm starting to see it now, is that you only know it when it's over. Today, I only realized the beauty of my university days when they were over today. when I was in the moment, and I was blessed enough to be in the moment with these people, these friends of mine, and I could relive it through them. But it was beautiful. Instead of weird and sad, it was beautiful for me. Man, I can't explain, and I'm hoping you're starting to understand what I'm trying to say. It's all perspective. I think that's the message I want to leave in this video. Everything is perspective. You could see your life right now if things are not going well for you. Maybe you're in a crisis situation. Maybe you're worried about passing a subject. Maybe your girlfriend or boyfriend has left you. Maybe you're in the midst of a divorce. And I'm not taking that pain away from you. And I'm not telling you that you shouldn't be sad today. I'm not trying to do injustice to your pain, because we all go through pain. That's life. We all suffer. All I'm trying to say is, remember a moment in your past where you felt the same way, but you overcame it anyways. And realize that the only regrets you might have, and the only regrets I ever have now, the real regrets, and I always used to think the regret I had was not being able to do things differently in the past. But I realize now, as I mature, hopefully, as I grow up, I'm starting to realize that I couldn't have done anything differently. What I did was the same way I would have acted if the situation was the same. I went back with my same mentality. I would have done the same things over and over and over again. And so would you. The only way things change is if you have a different perspective. But you only get that with age. That's the sucky thing about life. That's why this whole Benjamin Button idea would be ideal. If we could start off old and get young, so we could learn what life's about and then make the right calls. But that's the sad reality of life. But here's the thing, bro. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to live the rest of your life in attack mode, panicking, stressing, worrying. All you need to do is remind yourself that right now is a moment that you'll look back on in 10 years' time, firstly, without any stress, because you did it. You got through it. But secondly, you might be able to enjoy it a little bit more. You might be able to appreciate the moment for what it is. And even if it's dark and chaotic and crazy, you'll realize that if I don't enjoy it now, if I'm not in the moment right now enjoying my life, I'll never will. It'll pass me by. My only regrets in life, I've realized now in my older age, is that I don't regret that I didn't do things differently. It's that I regret not enjoying it more. And even that in itself is not something I can regret now. But I'm realizing that now. If only I could go back. And I can think of so many bad moments in my life. When I had my first heartbreak, that sucked. But man, oh man, could I go back? I would love to go back just for a day and spend time with that ex-girlfriend again. Not because I want her back. Not because I'm still in love with her and I pine over her. I miss you. No, not because of that, but because I would have appreciated it more. I would have enjoyed that first love tingle more. I wish I could go back to when... There's so many moments I can think of. Varsity, when I didn't know what to do as my honors. I wish I could go back and experience the stress. One of my worst years ever was journalism, and I don't want to get too entangled in my own stories here, but going back to it, my journalism year, I hated it. I was so stressed out every day. I was literally anxious for the first time in my life. And now looking back on it, I wish I could go back and enjoy it more and have been more present and talk to the people more instead of combating them and fighting them. I wish I'd made more connections. I wish I'd enjoyed it because I survived it. And you can too. You can survive whatever it is you're going through now, but more importantly, you can enjoy it. No matter, and I challenge you today in this video, no matter what you're going through, find a way where you can stop periodically and smell the roses and just enjoy the moment of where you're at. Find the beauty in the suffering. Find the beauty in the madness, as the weekend would say. Find the silver lining in the clouds, because it's always there. It's always there, and it's profound. If you want to kind of delve into this idea a little bit more and a bit more articulately than I may have put it to you today, watch the movie About Time. It's all about this guy who can time travel, and throughout the movie it's hilarious. He keeps going back in time to fix mistakes he's made. But at the end of the day, and again, spoiler alert, so if you don't want to spoil it, I'll try to make it very unspoilerish. But essentially what he realizes at the end of the movie is that he doesn't really need to go back and fix anything. He just needs to go back and relive every day again, so that he can totally and fully appreciate it, knowing that he overcame the day. It's exactly what I'm saying. So if you want a good movie story to prove this concept to you, you'll cry tears, by the way. It's sad as fuck, but it's a beautiful movie. I feel like there's so much more I could say about this, but I don't want to keep this video running without any more added value. So I hope you walk away from this video today realizing what I realized and the profoundness of it, that life is this journey and it's going to end. And I think that's the last thing I want to end on. No matter what happens to you today or in a week, there's only one worst outcome that can ever happen to you, and that's that you die. Sorry to leave you on such a cheery note, but it's true. You, me, your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, all of us were dead. You're going to die, whether it's next week, 10 years from now, or 50 years from now. God willing, it's a long time from now, but you don't know. But that's it. That's the worst that can happen to you. When you realize that I'm either going to get through this or I'm going to die. And if you die, then it's GG's. It's going to happen anyway. So you may as well enjoy the moment that you're in and appreciate it for what it is. And just a good, actionable step is that when you're in your moments today, periodically remind yourself to step back. Literally just take a step back. Breathe in and out. Come back to the moment and realize that in 10 years' time from now, you'll be looking back, wishing you could come back to this very moment and enjoying the moment for what it is. You'd probably give up all your money in the world. There's that cliche thing where it's like the 50-year-old would give up all his money so that he could be 21 again. And it's true. But it's true not only for 21-year-olds, it's true for every stage of your goddamn life. Enjoy your life. And I'll leave you with the Kanye West quote, even though I'm not really fond of Kanye's recent mentality, but he said this well.
When I had my accident, I found out at that moment, nothing in life is promised except death. If you have the opportunity to play this game of life, you need to appreciate every moment. A lot of people don't appreciate their moment until it's past.